At the time when the earth became hot, at the time when the heavens turned about, at the time when the sun was darkened to cause the moon to shine, at the time of Makahiki, then became the rich and fertile mud. This was the source of the earth, the source of the darkness that made darkness, the source of the deep night that made night, the intense darkness, the deep darkness, nothing but night. Hano kapo, then night gave birth. And so begins the Kumulipo, the Hawaiian genealogical creation chant that grounds us in the long ancestral night of Polynesia. Over 2,000 lines that describe in glorious detail the generation of the universe from its earliest beginnings in the depths of darkness. When recited, the steady rhythm of this majestic chant actively emulates each phase of evolution, tracing the rich heritage of gods, men and women, and the chiefs from whom they descended. Throughout Polynesia, origin stories recount the creation of the universe in these same terms. Te Po, the endlessly deep night, pulsates, reverberating steadily for many eons, until finally space begins to hollow itself out and light seeps in. This is Atea, space and light, vast expanse of sky, the beginnings of a new consciousness heralded by the light. The exhibition celebrates this powerful moment, Polynesia's cosmological equivalent to the Big Bang, when sacred light floods the dark ancestral night, initiating a dynamic new era in which strings of islands were vigorously birthed into being and the first generation of gods were born. For Polynesians, the relationship with the divine remains grounded in the wood, bones, feathers, and fiber of the island and ocean environments from which people themselves once sprang. To honor this kinship, artists drew directly from the natural world. This evening, we celebrate the creative ingenuity of those Polynesian artists, who drew from the realms of sky, sea, and land to express this ancestral relationship with the land and the ocean. Artists from the islands of Fiji, Tonga, and Niue in the west, from Tahiti, Mangareva, the Austral and Cook Islands to their east, and the Hawaiian Islands in the extreme north of Polynesia. Focusing on these distinct island groups as anchor points, the exhibition explores the ways in which Polynesians distilled these ideas as they migrated across vast tracts of ocean, settling new territories over the course of millennia. I would like to thank everyone involved for their many contributions in bringing this exhibition into being. My sincere thanks goes to all the lenders, the Peabody Essex Museum in Salem, the Peabody Museum of Archaeology and Ethnology at Harvard University, the Menil Collection, and also two individuals, Dr. Gordon Zay and Mr. Mark Blackburn, both long-term supporters of the arts of Polynesia and the Pacific, and enthusiastic partners in our mission to expand and raise the profile of the Pacific's uniquely eloquent arts. Polynesian art has been a great source of pleasure for them over the course of many decades, and they've graciously agreed to temporarily part with key works from each of their collections for almost an entire year, and we're greatly appreciative of that. It's been a great pleasure working with colleagues in departments across the museum. I'd like to thank the exhibition and design teams, especially our exhibition designer, Fabiana Weinberg, who has tended to details with a precision and care that I greatly appreciate. Alex Vior, senior graphics designer, both have brought their skills and vision together to accommodate what has been a hugely rewarding and productive collaboration. Thank you to Fred Sager and his exceptional team of mount makers, the lighting team, editorial, and the quite brilliant conservation and collections group in my own department of the arts of Africa, Oceania, and the Americas, Christine Gentini, Caitlin Mahoney, David Rhodes, and Arthur Polendo, all of whom have seen to it that this space is quite literally shining with life and vitality this evening. I do hope you enjoy the show. In just a moment, I will hand over to His Excellency Solo Mara, Fijian Ambassador to the United States in Washington, D.C., who will say a few words to mark the occasion of this exhibition. We are honored and delighted to host you this evening, and thank you so much for joining us in this celebration tonight. We will then hand over to colleagues, friends, and associates from the Hawaiian community here in New York, led by Marcus Maza, who joins us from the Bishop Museum in Hawaii, who will lead appropriate ritual protocols for the ancestral treasures assembled before us. I do hope you have a fantastic evening, and after you've seen the show, please do make sure you make it over to the larger Oceanic Gallery, where we hope to entertain you and host you in true Pacific style with some song and dance a bit later. Thank you.
I'm indeed honored to be here to lend the Fijian people's and government's support to this exhibition, and I'm sure Pacific Island government's representatives join me too in appreciating and supporting this exhibition, to which I would like to thank Maia Nuku, the curator, for the kind invitation, and to the Met Museum for the initiative to host a Pacific Island art exhibition here in New York. Over the years, during the course of my role as Fiji's ambassador, I've come to appreciate the richness and diversity of Pacific Island culture through my association with museums and universities in Europe and here in the USA, and their exhibition of their unique collection of Pacific Island artifacts. I always get mixed feelings when viewing these exhibitions. First, you get the overwhelming sense of pride in sharing a strong cultural connection to the people who made these beautifully crafted artifacts hundreds and thousands of years ago, and recognizing not only the richness and diversity, but also the superb skills involved in creating them. But one is also inevitably overcome with a strong sense of loss when you recognize that some of the unique skills and traditional technologies required to design and produce these artifacts and structures have been lost. Some with the early arrivals of Christian missionaries who associate the creation of some of these beautifully created pieces with ancestral worship or other unchristian rituals, practices, and therefore banned it. But artifacts have occupied a place of importance in pre-Christian and pre-colonial island society, Pacific Island societies. Intricate wood carvings, detailed designs carved into or forged from whale's tooth and ivory played an essential part in relationships of all kinds, both between people and sources of divine power, mostly ancestors. In Fijian artifacts, like those from other Pacific Island countries, as evident from collections kept here at the Met Museum and museums around the world, one would note that artifacts are almost invariably well made, not only to withstand the demanding climatic conditions of the tropics, but made with pride to please relatives, chiefs, and gods, or God. Intricate patterns and design woven into mats, stenciled on tapa cloth or masi, carved into wooden utensils of everyday use like war clubs, also denote the owner's social status or their traditional role in the village. And these designs, patterns, skill sets, and methods used in producing these artifacts also reflect the extensive cultural interaction between the three major cultural groups of the Pacific Island region: namely Polynesia, who we will be viewing this evening, but also the rich cultural heritage of Melanesia and Micronesia. Traditional artifacts also flow along the pathway of relationships. In the Pacific Island region, exchanges of gifts of goods and artifacts between coastal and hinterland communities and between islands often strengthens relationships and prevents tribal conflicts as more people become dependent on these trading systems and routes for their sustenance. The artifacts in this exhibition also helps educate us in the 21st century in the way our ancestors lived in harmony with nature and the environment. The Pacific Island region faces many development challenges today. Prominent amongst these are those associated with climate change and environment degradation from human activities. And our ancestors speak to us through these exhibitions of historic artifacts on the value of sustainable approaches to development. This exhibition, like those before it and those that will come after it, is also providing a platform to acquire back those traditional knowledge and skills necessary to reproduce some of these magnificent pieces. Recent exhibitions of Pacific Island artifacts in Europe have resulted in the revival of the building of double-hulled ocean voyaging canoes, the like of which had helped settle the Pacific Island region. As a student of history, my appreciation of these cultural artifacts stems from the fact that these were made by individuals or groups of people that selected raw materials, processed them, and transformed them into beautiful cultural artifacts of significance. These were all handmade with fingers or a modest toolkit. Their production involved precise hand-eye coordination and refined judgment of form, volume, design, balance, and proportion. It is this which makes looking at a bowl, a bark cloth, or a headrest or headpiece such a pleasing experience. And I do hope you will enjoy those that I exhibited today in the same light. And for that, I thank you for your attendance and for Maia and the Met Museum for the initiative. Thank you.